Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Suffolk series, the area that was formed from the former Waveney and Suffolk coastal districts. Let's have a look at one of its 177 parishes. Right, today in East Suffolk I've got this little sproglet with me. This is Lauren. You've never seen Lauren before. This is the youngest of my three stepdaughters, and Lauren is joining me in this village where there's something here made of brick. We know what this is because we've just had a look at it, but you're going to find out what it is as we journey around Blunderstone. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Blundestone in East Suffolk lies some 3.5 miles northwest of Lowestoft, 6 miles south of Great Yarmouth and around 1¾ miles inland from the North Sea coast. Our walk around it starts at the village pond on the corner of Pickwick Drive and Market Lane, and Lauren, who isn't in the least bit camera shy, makes several appearances in this episode. It's good to have her along because I'd never have filmed things like this on my own. This is right next to the pond and it provides the local ducks with some shelter. It's Duckingham Palace. Blundeston is famed for the character David Copperfield in the Charles Dickens novel of the same name. Copperfield was born at Blunderstone and a number of local landmarks are referenced in the novel. Nobody knows whether Dickens ever visited Blundestone, but from letters he wrote he mentions choosing the name after seeing it on a signpost during a visit to Great Yarmouth. The pink building in shot here is Blunderstone's only pub, the Plough Inn, which dates from 1701, and it's a Grade 2 listed building. The pub has a recycling point too, which is good to see. Let's continue up Market Lane and see what else we can find. Here's some history for you. In 1086, Blunderstone was named Dunstuna. It was a small village in the hundred of Lothingland, consisting of a handful of families. The land was part of the holdings of Robert of Vaux and Count Alan of Brittany. During the medieval period, the land was split between two manors, one at Blunderstone Hall and one owned by the Gonville family. A medieval moated site at Blunderstone Hall is a scheduled monument. The hall is a very important landmark which we're working our way towards. Speaking of halls, we come across Blunderstone Village Hall next. Around the back of the village hall, we have a playing field and some tennis courts. Sports-wise, the village has Blunderstone Cricket Club, who play in the Norfolk Cricket League. Next stop was the parish notice board, for which Lauren did the honours. I knew there was a good reason to bring her along. Our attention then turned to the other side of Market Lane. Okay, so we're as far down as the village hall. Lauren's enjoying this, aren't you?
Sort of.
Yeah, you are, you know you are. So there's the village hall. Didn't actually catch it in the first shot where I mentioned it.
That over there.
Look at what, Lauren?
That.
What is it? Oh, Millennium something. Shall we take a look? It turned out to be Blundestone's Millennium Green, much like Lown Village Green, but much, much larger. During the coronavirus pandemic, the Millennium Green had something called a happy tree. The tree was adorned with painted shapes of wood and rainbow-coloured wind chimes to add a splash of colour and bring a smile to all who walked across the green. Back over on the other side of the road there's a playground. Lauren had to try the play equipment, but only got as far as the roundabout as it had been raining earlier in the day. Blunderstone's southern neighbour is Flixton, one of 2 Flixtons within East Suffolk. That'll get confusing when they get episodes. This one shares a parish council with Blunderstone. The village is clustered in the centre of the parish. The Lowestoft to Norwich railway line crosses to the west, with the nearest station being located at Somerleyton. The western boundary is the River Waveney, and between it and the village are a series of drainage marshes in the Waveney's floodplain. Our next stop is Blunderstone Hall. This is interesting, there's a little green space here at the bottom of this road. Blunderstone in Bloom, sponsored by Gapton Vehicle Hire. It's a nice little cart, this. That's quite nice. Some nice plants in it. We're going this way briefly towards Blunderstone Hall and then back that way to pick up another road which will take us back towards where we started. In the 17th century, Blunderstone Hall was owned by William Heveningham. He was one of the judges at the trial of Charles I in 1649, but he refused to sign the King's death warrant. This is the B1075 Lowestoft to Somerleyton Road, crossing the parish, and it's deceivingly busy for what's marked as such a minor road. There's not a great deal in the way of pavements in this section. Luckily, we didn't need to walk on that for long. We're now on Pound Lane, which offers us some good views out to the west. Lauren wondered why Pound Lane was named as such. It didn't take long to find out. At the other end is the village pound, or what we would normally term a pinfold. It's the same principle as we're used to. Unusually though, it's a circular one. We all know what they did by now, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but look at this line on the information board. Here, the pound is the only public property the Lord of the Manor still retains. With a left turn, we're heading for the church and for the school, although we didn't walk as far as the latter. We did, however, take a look at the church after Lauren had fussed a local dog. Lauren's just been fussing a dog. You like dogs, don't you?
I had to. It was so cute.
Apparently the dog is friendlier when the person fussing it has food. What a surprise. Right, okay, the church. And you may have noticed already that this one's got a round tower like the one in Lound. I think this is open as well because I could see a light on inside. Shall we go and have a look, Lauren? Blunderstone has had a church since St Fursey first preached Christianity in these parts in the 7th century. The current building, St Mary the Virgin, is medieval in origin. It's a Grade 1 listed building and it was open. Here we see the octagonal font, which is 12th century in origin, and the rood screen dates from the year 1490. In much the same way as Hannah did in Lound, Lauren lit a candle under my watchful eye. Whilst I much preferred the church in Lound to this one, it takes nothing away from this building. On the wall I found a roll of honour. The war memorial is outside in the churchyard, and we'll catch that shortly. Outside the church, you'll find the font from the ruined St Andrew's Church in Flixton, which together with the altar was moved to Blunderstone after it was destroyed in the Great Storm of 1705. St Mary's Tower includes stonework dating from the 11th century or possibly earlier, although its base is recent. Dickens used the church as the scene for the opening chapters of David Copperfield. So here's the war memorial, Blunderstone's war memorial. Don't climb on it, Lauren. Please don't climb on it.
I thought they were steps.
No, they're not steps. It's just the base. That's the base of the cross. And there is the cross here in Blunderstone. You'll have noticed by now that Blunderstone was all decked out for the Jubilee, including this area here where the village sign is. The sign depicts David Copperfield, rather unsurprisingly. I wouldn't have known about this though without this trailer. On Church Lane is the old fire station piano gallery, and it's been going since 1978. It has around 60 pianos to view, both uprights and grands. On the street and just out of shot to the left here is the disused Blunderstone Windmill, which together with the mill house was built in around 1820. It had patent sails and 2 pairs of French millstones. The street has a few more amenities. There used to be another pub on the street named the Red Lion, which was originally known as the White Lion. That is now no more. This building is a florist's named Florence and Flowers. Blunderstone doesn't appear to have any other shops though, unless of course my route didn't pass them. As well as Dickens and Charles I, I've just time to squeeze in here a mention of one other famous person associated with Blunderstone. That would be author and illustrator James Mayhew. So the road continues that way, and there seems to be a lot more housing up there. Nothing really of any interest, I don't think, but please do let me know if there are some other bits and bobs I maybe should have walked to up there. But to complete the circular route, we're heading down this footpath here, and it will come out at the duck pond which we saw earlier. When we get there, you guys will need today's picture bit, and there's one more thing I need to talk about as regards Blunderstone. I will need to drive to it though. That'll be the last part of this video. We get a quick look at another residential area from this footpath, Orchard Lane, and this is a good time to make a reference to Barkis, a name which crops up again and again around the village. Barkis was the carrier from David Copperfield. This area is known as the Barkis Peace Garden, located on the footpath right in the centre of the village. A nice spot this. Lauren noticed this too. Again, not something I'd usually capture, but that girl likes her animals, so I obliged. Now we're back where we began at the pond, and the footpath runs around it to Barkis Meadow. By the way, the plough has a sign above the door reading Barkis, the carrier, started here. At the end of Barkis Meadow there's a boat, which was pretty cool. As far as I know, Blunderstone doesn't have any boating history other than wherries which would sail along the Waveney. These would have transported corn, which would then have made its way across the marshes via Neb Lane to the village, ending up at Blunderstone Windmill. This boat, though, is going nowhere. Okay, picture bit time, and then it's time to hop in the car and find this last place, isn't it, Lauren?
Yeah.
Blunderstone's good, isn't it? Nice place, yeah? Yeah. Teenagers, who'd have them? Now, this is the part of this episode that I wasn't sure about. I didn't know what was here, and apparently it's a load of new houses which are still being built. It's still a construction site, so I can't go any further than these barriers to show you what they look like. This used to be a prison, and if you go on Google Maps and do the street view, it still shows you the prison. It was HMP Blunderstone. It's no longer there. It was sold in 2014, and obviously these have been constructed since. And there they are. It was a notable prison because one of its inmates was someone extremely famous. These houses stand on the site of the former HMP Blunderstone, which was built in the early 1960s as a Category C men's prison. It housed around 500 inmates and it was closed in 2014. Given it's only been closed since that time, and the last census data to hand at the moment is from 2011, I'm going to bring up the demographics box again at this point to highlight something. Notice how, much like in other places we've seen with prisons, the demographic is very different to other villages like Blunderstone. Most notable is the ethnic makeup, way down at 90% white British. The latest estimates also show Blunderstone's population to have dropped by 2%, a huge margin. That's because the inmates who were in the prison and on the census have all now gone. When the prison was closed in early 2014, the 25-acre site was sold to a property developer, and now these houses are the result, or at least they will be once they've been completed. At one time, Blunderstone housed Reggie Cray, one half of the notorious Cray twins, who were the foremost perpetrators of organised crime in the East End of London. And that's pretty much it for the parish of Blunderstone, save for one last thing. Lauren wanted to help me with the filming, and you're going to be holding the camera as we drive away from Blunderstone, aren't you, Lauren, to film the road that leads towards Lowestoft. Do I dare trust you with my camera?
Yes. Who do you think I am? Someone who bakes a lot of things.
Yeah.
God, I know I crack my phone a lot, but still.
Yes, you do crack your phone a lot, which honestly is very annoying, just so you know. Any parents out there who have got teenagers, 13, 14, you know, paying out for phones being cracked here, there and everywhere, that's basically Lauren in a nutshell.
How many times have I had my phone repaired?
Far too many. Right, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the Parish of Blunderstone, and I'm out.